Tubbs' former partner enters his life and tries his very best to destroy him on today's Miami Vice. Better Living Through Chemistry was directed by Leon E. Chasso and was written by Dick Wolf and Michael Duggan from a story idea by Ken Edwards and Harold Rosenthal. I always give a little sidelong glance to episodes like this one, where there are totally different teams of people credited for the script and for the story idea, especially in an episode like this one, where the story idea is great and the script is dreadful. To the comforting strains of Steppenwolf's Born to Be Wild, Crockett and Tubbs, undercover as Burnett and Cooper, hang out at a strangely upscale and glamorous biker bar/strip club, which features lots of neon and disco lights and women writhing around on motorcycles. It's weird, but it's the 80s, so it makes as much sense as anything. Crockett and Tubbs are trying to buy synthetic cocaine from the club owner, a dealer named Wango Mac, played by acclaimed independent film director Rob Nilsson. Out of nowhere, the DJ in the club spots Tubbs and announces to the entire room that he's an undercover cop. The best part about this is how Crockett immediately preserves his own cover by grabbing Tubbs by the lapels in a hostile manner and acting shocked, which of course is some very fast thinking and is exactly what he should do, but still comes across as a total dick move. It's wonderful. It turns out the DJ, Clarence Batiste, played by Victor Love, is Tubbs' former partner with the NYPD, who was fired from the force after shooting a bookie under murky circumstances. Tubbs refused to lie to defend him during an investigation into the shooting, so Batiste holds a deadly grudge against Tubbs for making him lose his job on the force, causing his wife to commit suicide, and forcing him to move to Miami to become a DJ at a club run by a drug dealer. There are a lot of holes in Batista's logic, I'm just saying. The synthetic cocaine that Crockett and Tubbs are trying to buy has been created by a chemist named Luna, played by Nelson Villamor. Luna has been unable to focus on his work due to his preoccupation with sex, so Wango Mac has hired Izzy to help Luna get over his block by taking him to a strip club, because nothing in this episode makes a lick of sense. When a prospective customer samples the synthetic cocaine, it kills him instantly. So obviously, Luna's formula has not been perfected yet. Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer plays during a shootout in the club between Mac's gang of bikers and a rival dealer, during which Batiste smuggles Izzy and Luna out of the club and essentially kidnaps them both. Castillo gives Tubbs the internal affairs file about the investigation into the shooting that got Batiste fired. Tubbs flies off to New York because this episode meanders all over the place and meets with a jailed bookie who gives him evidence that exonerates Batiste. Meanwhile, Batiste has stashed Izzy and Luna into a laboratory so Luna can continue working on the synthetic cocaine. Batiste is running a scam on Mac to make him think Luna has been kidnapped by a rival drug lord, intending to ransom him back for $1 million. Luna soon dies from sampling his own defective product. Batiste and Izzy pull a Weekend at Bernie's 3 years before the release of Weekend at Bernie's and pose for photos with Luna's corpse to provide proof of life to Mac. Batiste tells Mac that Tubbs is the mastermind behind Luna's kidnapping, and Mac offers him $150,000 to kill Tubbs, which Batiste thinks is super awesome. Batiste's girlfriend Melody, played by Shanti Owen, talks Batiste out of killing Tubbs by mentioning that Tubbs has arranged to have Internal Affairs reopen his case based on the new evidence he learned from talking to the bookie. So instead of killing Tubbs, Batiste warns him about the hit. A shootout with Mac ensues, and Crockett, Tubbs, and Batiste manage to kill Mac and his goons, and then Tubbs arrests Batiste for Luna's kidnapping. Batiste is a specific kind of character that we are, unfortunately, going to see quite a bit of on this season of Miami Vice. The antagonist that viewers are supposed to relate to, even though no one involved with this episode has gone to the necessary effort to make him relatable. I'm going to elaborate on this a little because sometimes there's confusion over the concept of making antagonists sympathetic. Writers are under no obligation to make all their villains relatable. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not, and it just depends on what's right for a particular story. Thinking back to last season's excellent episode, Definitely Miami, viewers are not expected to relate to Callie and Charlie. We're not expected to think, yeah, I know Callie has been seducing guys just so that her husband can rob and murder them, but we've all been there. Callie and Charlie are just simple, uncomplicated villains motivated by basic greed, and in Definitely Miami, it works beautifully. An example of a relatable villain on Miami Vice would be Jackie, the teenage sex worker in last season's Little Miss Dangerous, who is a serial killer. And while we find her actions despicable, we spend enough time with her and learn enough key details about her that we do feel a sense of loss when she kills herself at the end. In this episode, it's clear from the amount of backstory we get about Batiste and from the amount of time we spend with him, particularly when none of our series regulars are on screen, that the writers want us to find him relatable. And by relatable, I mean that viewers would think, okay, under similar circumstances, if I'd had a similar background to this character and been through everything this character had been through, I can see myself making similar choices. Batiste fails that test, and thus we spend a lot of time this episode hanging out with someone who's just kind of a dick. His motivations are weak, his actions are crappy, and this episode gives him far too much credit for his one small redemptive act in the end, i.e. deciding not to murder Tubbs. So hanging out with Batiste is a drag, and apart from a pretty great opening sequence, this episode doesn't have much else to recommend it. I like the glamorous biker bar, but that's about all I can say in favor of this episode, so I'm giving it 2 flamingos. Next time, Vice investigates a plane full of stolen babies. Thank you very much for joining me. Please find me on Twitter to chat with me about Miami Vice or subscribe to my channel, and I will see you here next time. Goodbye.